Hello, my name is Carrie and welcome back to my channel. I started the channel a couple months ago. I put 2 videos up that I liked. I made a 3rd video that I didn't really like and finally took that down. And then I just kind of went inward for a while and I have ink all over me. Oh goodness. Okay. So I've been gone for a while, but today I wanted to do good mood decks. So that's what I'm doing. Putting this together, it just makes me happy to look through these decks. So I've definitely picked the right decks. And as you may know, we've had a little bit of a crazy election here in the United States. So I really went like inward and like social media shut down, like just not watching the news and, took the time to like spring clean, but autumn clean my house. We had a roommate who was here for a year and a half move out. So I took the time to really like clean the downstairs part of our house we hadn't really been using. Beds got moved from room to room. Everything is looking so good. I feel really good nesting. That's been like it's a good mood thing for me to nest. I like to nest. We had a cord of wood delivered and we already had half a cord. So I had to move the half a cord to use this first places, like inside the house and right next to the house. And then I had to move the new cord of wood into where the old half cord pretty much was. So I did that all myself. It's felt really good to do things like that. And I also started a commonplace book. So I love a dot journal. I keep my notes for school for herbalism is in a large notebook, and I just love decorating it and like really making my own and using lots of different color inks so that it can help me remember and have certain things stand out. But I wanted something to help me learn some things that I want to learn that aren't related to herbalism. So that's what I'm doing with this book. I'm really enjoying it. So I've discovered William Blake and his deck, and poetry. I'm currently listening to an audiobook about William Blake, and I want to learn to recite the Tiger. So it's 24 lines. As long as I read it every day, I think that's not going to be a problem. I have been learning about Stoicism. So listening to Ryan Holiday's channel, The Daily Stoic on YouTube, how the Stoics dealt with anxiety, 10 strategies. So just things like this that I find important. My calendar and my chart. Oh, this was fun. This was not analog. I used ChatGPT for the first time. As I said, I'm studying herbalism, and I need to know a lot of medicinal action terms. And I'm creating icons for each of them so that in my notebooks where I have about herbalism and certain herbs and how they work in the body and what they're used for, I can have like the symbols along the side of the book to help me find what I'm looking for more easily. So I'm really excited. That was fun to work with ChatGPT and do that. Quotes for troubled times. So that's been getting me through. Definitely put Eleanor Roosevelt's biography or the book she wrote. I can't remember which book it was, but it's Eleanor Roosevelt. I put that on my list of things to read soon. So here's a quote from the lovely Eleanor Roosevelt. Courage is more exhilarating than fear, and in the long run, it's easier. We do not have to become heroes overnight. Like, I've been telling myself that a lot as I'm working towards some goals. A little haiku, I kind of fell off the last couple weeks, but what else? Oh, quotes from Stoics. So I've really been enjoying my commonplace book and like, for the most part, unplugging to learn some new things. So that's been good. I read an actual paper book that then my dogs laid on and ruined. No, it's fine. It's not ruined. It's just a little dented. I really enjoyed it. Oliver Kitteridge. It's so good. It's so good. And each chapter is almost a standalone story, but they're all, you're like, this isn't about Olive at all. But then it is. There's just you learn a little something about her. It was really well done, well written. I enjoyed it very much. So I haven't gotten very many novels read lately, but this was one of them, and I enjoyed it. And another thing I've been doing is just playing analog freestyle with this deck of cards. It's super cute. I got it on Etsy. So it is dog themed. And each suit has, so here's a 3 of spades, and there's 1, 2, 3 of the shapes, right? So there's 9 shapes. It's a super cute deck, but I've just been playing free cell with it out on my, one of those mobile desk kind of little things. So cute. I love the one who's digging holes. And then we've got the one who's leaving his puppy prints everywhere. So yeah, analog free cell has been great. Love it. Love this little deck, but you could use any deck of cards. All right, I was pretty down after the election and wanted to just go inward and keep things simple, and I needed cheering up. And what I did was really based off of how I store my decks. I have a little bit of a tarot altar space, and these 3 decks just were stored together because their bags are pretty together. So I keep them on this lid of this basket normally. And I was like, okay, they're all beautiful decks. Let's just lay them out like this. I didn't use this one. So right after the election, I started doing this, and every day or every other day, I'll change all the cards and see what it has to say to me. Very shortly after I started, I was only a few days in with these when I was like, oh, let me add my favorite oracle deck of all time, which is the Energy Archeology guidebook. It is beautiful. I mean, bones and forests really at the same time. Like, I couldn't ask, as a hiker yogi, I just couldn't ask for anything more. So I'm not flipping through the cards because I don't want to know what's coming up next. I guess I could have pulled the last few off the bottom, but I didn't. So this is, like I said, the Energy Archeology Oracle, excuse me. And then we have the Tarot of the Cosmic Seed, which was indie. This was probably I think it was my 3rd indie deck, but it is now mass market, and it's by Lilana Simone, and it's beautiful. And even the mass market I saw on the Hermit's Cave channel, that it's still gilded. It looks exactly the same. This is my Cerie. This is my Survivor deck because this looks just like Cerie. Oh my gosh, like Cerie happy is like, okay, we can do it. She gives me promise. Just looking at this card makes me so happy. It brings me so much joy. So Tarot of the Cosmic Seed, can't say enough good things about that deck. And then the Tarot of Mystical Moments, which I, as you can see, chopped off the titles. It also had silver gilding, I think. I also modded it. I'm going to take the bottom card off. So I modded, I don't know, there was something weird about the texture of it, and they like stuck together. So I actually used sandpaper, and like one of the big block things that you put the sandpaper around the block, and I like sanded every card. So they all look a little different. Yeah, I love how it turned out. Now that I'm okay with bigger decks, I wouldn't mind it. But again, this is a deck that brings me so much joy. So Tarot of Mystical Moments. And then the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. Also here. So I feel gives me amazing, beautiful readings, these 4 together. And they're all decks I love. And I think they look amazing together. We've got this white and black with this full color in the middle thing going on. I don't know. It brings me so much joy. So I'm not going to flip through it, but this is what I did for a couple weeks after the election. Like, this was very little else was done with tarot cards besides doing this. Very little else was done with tarot, but I did play with this one because this has become just my happy deck. This deck just reminds me of my childhood, especially the wand suits, like a lot of orange, red, yellow. I thought when I first saw this deck through people's flip throughs, I thought, ooh, I would see cards like this, and I'm like, out, because of a certain scary movie. with a hairy little thing. There's probably 2 of those movies that scare the heck out of me. So I thought I couldn't do this deck. And then I felt called to go get it. I was like, you should go to the bookstore and buy it right now. To a bookstore that chances are it wasn't going to be on the shelf, but it was on the shelf. And I bought it. And I have fallen in love with this deck. This is Shadowlands by Monica Berdersky. I can't tell you how much I love it. I don't know how Lisa Pepez loves her Montserrat deck, but the way she speaks about it, the way it makes me feel, I feel like that's how much I love this deck. So in love with it. It is always a good reader, always makes me happy. I love all these little things. I grew up in the 70s and I watched a lot of, the Addams Family and Monsters. And it's like, these are just happy creatures that I would maybe dream about if I was someone who watched a lot of those shows. I love it. This was another one. Scary, but not scary at all. I love her. She's just like Cousin It. So, yeah, Shadowland Tarot. It did have gold gilding, and I did very quickly chop it off, just enough to get the gold gilding off and edge it in black. Didn't do a great job, but it's fine. I love this deck. I love it. So happy. I love them all. And such a good reader. I really, really like using this deck with the Wild Alchemy Lab. This is like $15. I don't know what this cardstock is. It's like shuffling pillows or clouds or pillowy clouds. I don't know. I love it. It is different. It is so soft. So I will use one of these. And, usually I'm looking at what the keyword is first and then asking my question, but we can just look at it like this. Page of Pentacles. I am trying to learn the plants. So blackberry, rubus, fruticosus, and the rosaceae, which is the rose family. So what I'm looking for when I'm using it as an oracle is this, for colds and sore throats, and then I might read a little bit. So it's associated with protection, prosperity, and healing. Okay, so prosperity, protection, and healing kind of thing. I just love these guys together. Great mullein. We're not going to read the Latin right now. To treat earaches. As a herb of Saturn, mullein supports the joints and muscles and relieves arthritis. Energetically, mullein asks us to turn inwards, to listen to our inner ear. The flowers are used to treat lung and nerve conditions. So, listening to my inner ear. Oh, the High Priestess. Look at that. And the Six of Pentacles. Giving and receiving. So, love, love, love makes me so happy, this combination. It's like I get to see really pretty pictures of plants, maybe learn a little bit about the plant itself, but also about its energetic properties. It's been a delight. I get that it might not be a delight for everybody, but if this sounds like it's up your alley, it is one of the least expensive decks you can buy. And it's like shuffling pillows. Oh my gosh, I just learned there's a pause button on the record. That is awesome. Okay, that's new. All right, so I just realized how much reflection we have on this shiny deck, so I apologize for that. I talked about these in my first 5, last 5, so I'm not going to talk about them a lot, but they bring me so much joy. This is the favoriteest animal deck I have tried. I love animals so much, so I wanted the animal decks to work for me, but this one actually does. And this is my favorite, like, art history museum tour deck. They bring me, look at him, look at that magician. They bring me so much joy. Her face, oh my gosh. How many lovers have you seen where one of them is looking directly at you and the other one's looking at the other character? I don't know, but I love them so much. So, yeah, so this is the Every Little Thing You Do is Magic tarot deck, and this is the Touchstone Tarot. And when I talked about them in my first 5, last 5, I brought this one out and was like, oh, I love this deck, and then I continued just to talk about this one. So yeah, I think it's the collage colored backgrounds with black and white animals, but yeah, this is the first animal deck that I have like really adored. J'adore. So yeah, I love them. I love them separately and I love them together. Another one of my absolute favorites that I talked about in my first 5 last 5 is the Scarab and Dahlia by Joanna Callahan Waldo. It is just a gorgeous, gorgeous collage deck. I regret cutting off the gilding. I don't regret cutting off the gilding. That's not true. I regret that I tried to corner round with a small corner round, but I had had it a long time and it left jagged edges, and now I am left with a giant corner round. But that's not her fault. That is not the creator's fault. It had really nice silver gilding and nice kind of squared off, but you know, rounded corners. And I'm the one who did this to the deck. I still love it beyond measure. So many of the cards are there. 2 of these. Oh my gosh. So many are favorite cards. I love this deck. I love the other decks I talked about with it at that time, but this one, if I'm down, it makes me feel better just to look at its beauty. Look at that one. I love the kids. I love the pages. I love the coins. Look at that King of Cups. It is just, again, it's like a little sitting down and looking at a little museum. 78 beautiful pieces of art, actually more because there's extra cards. Yeah, there is not a card I don't love. Love. So, Scarab and Dahlia is one of the best good mood decks I can come across. It just, collage makes me happy, and really well done collage. So much joy there. So, Scarab and Dahlia, definitely a good mood deck. Look at it. So beautiful. Next for good mood decks is the Victorian Romantic. I believe this is out of print. I didn't think I was going to get one. There's a bunch on eBay from, the prices vary greatly. I did not think I was going to be able to get this deck. And then they had like a second run of their 4th edition. I think that's what this is. They had extra cardstock from a different printing and they said they were going to make more of this. And I grabbed it. I'm so glad I did. The 4th edition, the normal 4th edition, I believe had like a teal background, and teal is my color and it's beautiful. I cannot say how happy I am to have this. I don't care that they're not teal. I love it. It is beautiful. It is one of the most beautiful decks. It's a deck that makes me think of my mom. She loved this kind of art, and yeah, she would have loved this deck. This Emperor. So I have the book. I know that this is supposed to be the Emperor, but in my mind, the Scientist is the Emperor. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I see him as the Emperor every time. I just love that you have choices. That was a deck that came with some extra cards, so you had some choices in it. Yeah, I love it. It's just very much a good mood deck. This is a deck, sometimes I just look at it to look at the beautiful art. I love this Lovers. Oh, love it. I don't like the other Lovers that it came with, but I love that one. Love that 3 of Cups. Oh, so gorgeous. So this is one that I pair with most of the time. I am pairing it with the Herbcrafter's Tarot, and it's just a beautiful, soft, lovely, always makes me feel better. This is such an empowering deck. So the write-ups in the book are very short but sweet. I love that that goes in order of numbers. So it tells you about the 7s, and then all the 7s are together. That's all you get for each card, but it is so much enough. Like, it's beautiful. Yeah, all of them together. I love it. It's just gorgeous. Tulsi has become my friend. I make a lot of Tulsi tea, and I was a person who didn't like tea, and I'm like, how am I supposed to be an herbalist if I don't even like tea. And then I realized there's lots of teas. You can make your own. So these two together bring me such joy. And it's just really based on beauty, I guess. The beauty of it. And the calmness. It's just a nice, calm, quiet place. It makes me so happy. So yeah, Herbcrafters and Victorian Romantic together. This little guy was a deck that I actually had and had it in Purgatory and gave it to a friend. And I was like, yeah, it's not working for me. And then my daughter gave me the same deck for Christmas. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this deck work for me because my daughter gave it to me and that's different. So this is the White Sage Tarot that I have trimmed and edged in this teal. This is such a quiet little deck and it is so tiny. I did this so that I could take it on a hike with me. I absolutely love it. I've just learned who everybody is, so it's not confusing to me at first. It was. I thought, oh no, what have I done? I've cut all the titles off. I didn't just cut the titles off, but I made them smaller in both directions. And I thought, oh no, what have I done? But this is the Empress. There's the Moon. Here's the Five of Pentacles. Like, it's a chakra-based deck. And for me, honestly, most decks are chakra-based because I see the colors in it a certain way. But this is an actual, like, with intention, putting the colors in for the chakras in all the pip decks. And I just can't tell you how soft and sweet and lovely it is. I don't know why it was different when it had titles on it, but for me, this works so well. It's just, oh my goodness. Look at the Queen of Cups. Come on. Look at the little paw. Okay, so, yep, this is the White Sage Tarot. And I have really enjoyed pairing it with the Paper Oracle. So this is a Lenormand deck. I don't know Lenormand. This is the only Lenormand deck I have. I bought all of Eric's stuff. And honestly, weirdly, don't use it. Like, his Inkwitch I will sit and look through, and I feel like it just hasn't found its mate yet. Like, I have bought decks purposely to be the mate to that deck, but they just didn't work out. So I'm holding on to hope, but I have fallen in love with using this little deck as my oracle. So again, I don't know Lenormand. I'm sure once Lisa Pepez finishes teaching us Lenormand, then I will know Lenormand better. But I just use it as an oracle deck. And, ooh, let's see. And because they're so tiny, they work so well together. It's like they're giant. This is giant compared to these. So, yep, I just make up my own meanings. I just go with my intuition. This is the one I almost messed up. So I looked at, like, when I was modifying it, I looked at all the cards to be like, okay, where can I cut? Like, I didn't want to lose the trunk, right? Like, so I would put the cards, this card had less art near the borders. So this one I wasn't worried about, but cards that had, filled up the borders, I needed to make sure I didn't cut certain pieces off. And I did a pretty good job, but I nearly cut that sword off, and then it would have been a 3 of swords instead of a 4. Oops. So yeah. So here we have the 4 of swords and masculine energy with the devil. Interesting. I would love to sit and think about that. But right now, I'm just going to continue showing you the cards on how they work together. So this is the Queen of Wands. And this is the Wheel of Fortune. I cut the titles off. You might not see that, but that's what they are. The star with the 10. Can I count right? Yeah. And crossroads. So I think they look beautiful together. They make me so happy. It makes me especially happy, of course, that my daughter got this deck for me. It's just gorgeous. I love them. I just love the colors. I love Eric's artwork, And I love this simplicity and softness and the cute little patootie animals that are in the court cards of this deck. I don't love a lot of pip decks, but this one just was so sweet. So yeah, this is the White Sage highly modified tarot deck with the paper oracle. Okay, for my good mood decks, we have the Good Karma Tarot. This deck, I hate the cardstock. It had a banner title and it's like a longer card that had more art below the banner. And for some reason, when I have a deck that has a banner on it, like this one, like the Green Witch, I have to cut it off. I can't see past it. It's bizarre, but that's how it is for me. This deck is such a good mood, honest reader, really sweet, diverse. Like, it just makes me happy. Anything with a clutch, whenever there's a clutch purse, I adore it. I love it. So this is a great good mood deck. And it's so RWS. Cutting the titles off did not mess me up at all. Look at her. Look at her. So this deck, I had it down in my sewing room for a while, and I had pulled 3 cards, and it was a very, like, clearly about me reading. And I had the 3 cards up on my altar and for a while. And then I finally, like, okay, it's time to shuffle this deck and get, you know, another question. And when I say I laid the 3 cards out, one of them was the Hierophant, which is definitely one of my cards. So these weren't it, but I had the 3 cards out, and the way I shuffle them back in is like I will randomly, you know, put them places and then overhand shuffle and shuffle. You know, I do all the shuffling multiple times, like better than what I just did. I'm telling you, I am not kidding. They weren't in the same order, but I like boom, 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 pulled those same 3 cards out again. Like, this deck, if it had better cardstock, like this might be the, oh, you only need to have this deck. That's never going to be true, but you know, it's closer to true than not. So yeah, the Good Karma Tarot is definitely a good mood deck for me. Look at that sweater. I think I had a sweater just like that. Yeah, I love it. That's great. Good Karma Tarot. This one's modified. And last but not least, this Good Mood deck. I cannot tell you how much this deck means to me. And yet I hardly ever use it. And it's not the deck's fault. I like to pair it with Circle of Doors. And right now, Circle of Doors is just not, it's not the energy I'm looking for. But this little deck. So I will like just look through, I will look through the deck and become happier. This is a very personal deck. It is not, let's see who created this deck. Stephanie Buscemi is the artist, and the book is written by Madame Pamita. So Silver Acorn, it is pretty expensive, honestly, but I think worth it indie deck. It is like really oversized, but the cardstock is so good that even with my pretty small hands, like, you get a great shuffle. Really beautiful shuffle. This deck feels like it was made for me. So in my 20s, when everyone else was going to college and figuring out what they want to be when they grew up, I went and worked in entertainment at Walt Disney World. So while this has nothing to do with Disney, the artwork looks like, it reminds me of Sleeping Beauty. So I call it my Disney deck, but it's not just animals, so it's not really just an animal deck. It also has, you know, pumpkins and other squashes and pears and strawberries that are characters in this little world. And then, of course, the silver acorns. So silver acorns, when acorns get old, and I've seen them out when I'm out hiking, they look like little old people faces. And I thought at first these were skeletons, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are skeletons, but yeah, I don't think they are. I think they're the silver acorns. So it is just so cute. Some of them remind me of the Haunted Mansion. So I was a performer at Disney World, so that these little characters very much remind me of that time in my life. And there's lots of like fruits and vegetables in here, and I'm a dietitian. So it just seems so fitting. And I'm a hiker and saw lots of silver acorns. Like it's my deck. It is gorgeous. It makes me so happy. Tell me this isn't like Prince Philip's sword. So yeah, silver acorn. I just can't say enough. Look. Oh my goodness. I love it. And it really does read well. Like I don't have to pair it with that deck that I pair it with, but they seem, you know, in my head I do, but they don't. Look at the sun. So this is an amazing good mood deck that feels really like it was made for me. I love them. No. Look at her. I'm giggling just looking at it. It's so beautiful. I love her little pomegranate dress, and look at those boots. They're just fabulous. And she's on a very stylized Amanita mascara. Mushroom, like all around made for me deck. I love it. All right, that brings us to the end of the Good Mood decks. So share with me your Good Mood decks. So I think this tag is like 2 years old. I swear I've been watching Good Mood decks recently, but maybe it was a different tag. But I'm going to tag it Good Mood decks because that's what these are for me. And I hope you have a Good Mood deck or two yourself. Have a great one. Bye.